Now let's talk about what exercise. Exercise for mental depressed people and people with mental problems. Older people who exercise 3 or 4 times a week have a decreased risk of Alzheimer's. A decreased risk of Alzheimer's. And now, research is showing that it could even help with Alzheimer's. So if you ever do a consultation with anyone who has any type of dementia or Alzheimer's, you want to have them exercise how many times minimum? 3 to 4 times a week. If possible, every day, but a minimum 3 to 4 times a week. And which is the best type of exercise? Walking. Walking is the best type of exercise. Now, if somebody has Alzheimer's, you can't have them go walking by themselves.
No.
There was a lady, they called me on the phone from the sheriff's department a week ago. Last Sunday, a lady she was missing, an Alzheimer's lady. She was elderly. And they called my phone. I was surprised. There was a message from the sheriff's department. They said what she was wearing, what she looked like, how old she was, and she had wandered off. So you can't let the Alzheimer's patients go by themselves. You have to go walking with them. According to research, children who play vigorously 20 to 40 minutes per day are better able to do their schoolwork, do math, and do class projects. 20 to 40 minutes a day.
Yes.
That's very important. Remember we were talking about those hyperactive children yesterday, and boys, especially boys. Boys are rambunctious, and they like to run on everything and jump on it. I used to think my boys were just horrible. That's how boys are. You have boys. You have to discipline them, but I know if they could, they would just be getting into a lot of stuff, right? That's how boys are. That's their nature. They need to be outside, exerting that influence outside. And I remember when my boys would start horse playing and throwing pillows. Oh, you guys have a lot of energy. I'd say go do a grizzly run. They had to go to this corner, run, come back, go to this corner, run, come back. Go in the house. If they were still hyper, they had to go do another one. If they threw stuff, they had to do like 25 of these front and 25 of these back until their arms were getting a little sore so they wouldn't be throwing stuff in the house. Keep them busy, Punish them according to the crime. But they really need to be outdoors. We should not have boys cooped up. And girls should be outside too. But we should not have our children cooped up in the house every day. They should be out at least, I say 30 minutes. But yeah, at least 30 minutes a day, minimum. This said 20 to 40. I say because a mother who raised 5 boys, I think I'm an expert at boys, I say at least 30 minutes. To start, that's a minimum. She says several hours a day.
Oh, I was going to say, when you grow up in the country, you're out several
Oh, yes,
hours
yes,
a
yes.
day.
See, when you live where I live, you can't send your boys.
Yeah.
My son was out the other day and got beat up
Aww.
and came home crying. And the neighbor saw what happened and came and told me, and I was like, this is horrible. I said, now I see why God sent me to the country. Yes. So pray for me because I want to be in the country. Okay. In our books like Education and Fundamental Principles of Education, we are told that children should not have a formal type of education, and we've discussed that yesterday. And we've talked about children not being in the classroom for 6 to 8 hours a day. When I was a little girl in elementary school, I went to elementary school in Glendale. I remember the teacher had a long pole, and she'd go and open up all the windows. They don't have that anymore in these classrooms. They don't have it. Fresh air is so important. And our teacher would say, you need fresh air to concentrate well. She knew what she was talking about. Okay. By the way, were you aware that most of these schools, because of the government funding, they're taking physical education out? Did you know that? When I was young, you and I we're about the same age. And I don't know, you grew up in another state, but did you guys have a lot of PE every day?
Yeah, we had PE.
Yes, we had 1 hour of PE every single day.
This was twice. 3 times.
In elementary?
Yes.
What about high school?
In high school, we had it once.
1 hour, right. In elementary school, I remember having recess like 2 times, and then we had like a 30, 40 minute exercise time. Junior high, we had 1 hour. High school, we had 1 hour. It was required. The kids back then were a lot slimmer than they are today. They're giving them all this fat food, and then they're taking away the exercise. If you're dealing with someone who has an anxiety attack, what did I tell you to tell them to do immediately?
Yesterday?
Yes, go go walking for 15 to 20 minutes. The oxygen, the ionized air, the negative ions, does something and it helps the brain. Because when they breathe that oxygen in, it goes, the circulation goes to the brain and it decreases the panic attack. Okay. The way we're teaching, we want you to be able to teach in such a way that you'll be able to go out and take this information. And you know what? I find myself, I have to watch the videos over. I teach this. Every day I'm teaching different people. I still have to watch over and over. I have to read my notes over because I have to teach myself too. Repetition and enlargement, right? Doesn't the Bible say in Deuteronomy 5 and 6, we should do it continuously? Same thing with the health message. Some people think because they heard it once they know it all. No, that's not the case. And we're supposed to be going higher and higher. Here is a word called neuro. What does neuro mean?
Brain.
The brain. Genesis. You know what this is? What does Genesis mean?
First.
The first, or the beginning, right? This is a production of new brain cells. Up until recently, the thought was that once the brain cells died, that was it. This is called the process of growing brain cells. Do you know how long it takes your whole brain? Do you know how long it'll be before you can have all your brain cells regenerated? If we're doing the laws of health and what we're supposed to be? 1 year. Isn't that amazing? That's amazing, isn't that? I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And medical science is now saying this. And before, up until recently, they said no. The thought was once you lose your brain cells, that's it. Can you hear me okay now? Is that better?
That's better, but you keep going. It keeps getting low. You know what I'm saying? Is it going to be on there right? Working?
How about that? This is not moving now. This isn't moving. Is that better?
That's better.
Okay. Once again, what exercise did we say is the best?
Walking.
Okay. And what laws of health are you getting when you're walking?
Sunshine, air.
Sunshine, air, and exercise. Amen. Amen. And you can have some Bible time too. You can talk to the Lord. Prayer time. Trusting in God. Okay. You guys heard of the hippocampus? Is anyone familiar with that? It is the first part of the brain. It's inside the brain. If you look at a picture of the brain, they'll show you where the hippocampus is. This is the first part of the brain that starts to deteriorate with Alzheimer's. This is the first part that goes. When you exercise, this is the first part that heals. So they're saying that's why we learned earlier exercise 3 to 4 times a day helps Alzheimer's. Because the hippocampus is the part that's benefited the most, or in the beginning stages. It says very soon Alzheimer's is going to become an epidemic because people are exercising less and less and eating horrible foods. By the way, it said a study at Loma Linda University showed that regular eaters of meat, including those who consume poultry and fish. Tell this to your wife because we were just talking about this yesterday. Because some people think poultry and fish is not meat. It has cholesterol. And if it has a face or a mama, it's the flesh. Remember they begged for the flesh pots of Egypt? What did God give them?
Quail.
Quail. What is quail?
Bird.
It's a bird. So it's still considered flesh food. And nuts are meat. Peaches are meat. Vegetables are meat. Because the word meat comes from the Greek word broma, means food.
And
So-
also, when you're a vegetarian, you know how you're transitioning,
Yes,
and you're craving meat?
Yes.
It's because you need nuts.
yes. And do you know, that something I forgot to mention yesterday. Well, I think I'm going to be mentioning it right now. Let me see. Yes, I'm going to be mentioning it right now. They did a study at Loma Linda, showed that regular eaters of meat, including those who consume poultry and fish, are at twice the risk of getting dementia and Alzheimer's. Twice the risk. Now, there's something in meat called, I think I'm spelling this right, so Hypoxanthine. Some people call it hypoxanthine. Hypoxanthine. I don't know if this is an X or a Z. I think this is a Z. It's a Z or an X. You think so? But some people call it hypoxanthine. Oh, it's still X, okay. X for xanthine. This, when you eat meat, this chemical is there. And the older the meat is, the more this chemical is there. And God knew this, because how old was the meat supposed to be and you couldn't eat it anymore?
3 days.
Yeah, no, the third day it had to be thrown out. You could only eat it first and second day. That was a biblical instruction for eating the meat in the Bible. And that's because the older the meat gets, and that's even if you freeze it. It doesn't matter if you freeze it or anything, because they use salt to preserve stuff. This gets more, and you've seen tigers and lions, and after they eat meat, what are they doing?
Laying down.
Well, what do people do after they
Sleep.
eat?
Same thing.
It makes you sleepy. It causes like a tranquilizer effect. And that has an effect, they said, on the hippocampus and can help increase Alzheimer's and dementia in people. So this is an important word to know. See, if we know the scientific stuff and we explain it to people, you'd be like, well, you guys really know what you're talking about. So when you use words like hypoxanthine, they're like, ooh, what's hypoxanthine? But we should know these things. And God is blessing his people with this information. They said that there are now 39-year-olds walking around with Alzheimer's disease. What did we say one of the main causes of Alzheimer's? Not exercising, right? And then the other one, eating flesh, right? Well, do we have a lot of young people not exercising who are eating flesh? And then they're putting the mercury and the ammonia and the antibiotics. I mean, this stuff is horrible today. And I hear a lot of arguments, but they use chemicals on the produce. Okay, my argument is this. Do I need meat to survive? No. Do I need fruits and vegetables to survive? Yes, that's where 1 Timothy 4 comes in. I do all my part to wash it off. I can't worry. I do all my part. We should have our own gardens, as we've said before, and buy locally from your local farmers markets. But if you're not able to, wash your vegetables and fruits the best you can, and then claim 1 Timothy 4. That's what I tell them, because they want to use 1 Timothy 4 all the time. How come I can't? You know? Amen. Okay. Research shows that Alzheimer's has what's called, I don't know if it's BADE. I was looking this up, or beta. I couldn't understand if she was saying BADE or beta. I think it's BADE, amyloid, and I'll tell you what this is, plaque. Okay, this is what they find in Alzheimer's patients. BADE amyloid plaque on the brain. What is this type of plaque? Thick deposits of proteins in the brain that are believed to play a role in nerve cell degeneration in Alzheimer's disease, also known as simply amyloid plaques. And these are found very high levels in those with Alzheimer's. And what is it from? Protein. Protein. Do we have high protein intake?
Yes.
Yes, and also well, I heard it was 30%. I think the number's gone up. 30% of Alzheimer patients are misdiagnosed. Do you know what they really have?
What?
Mad cow's disease. 30% of Alzheimer's are misdiagnosed. They have mad cows. You want to know what is a sign of mad cows? I worked in the Alzheimer's clinic here back in 2002. I got hired May 2002.